Parenting was really tough for me in the beginning. I did a lot of fussing and yelling and aggressive redirecting, if you will. And I found myself just being frustrated with me. Like, there's got to be a better way. And the more time I spent with my children, the more I felt that way because I thought this just can't be it. We would be maybe at church or we would be at some other function, maybe somebody else's house. And it just felt like my frustration was never ending. And I thought to myself, none of us are going to survive this thing. And the very last thing I want is for my children to grow up and have a negative feeling towards their childhood. But even more importantly, I didn't want their childhood to impede them in any way. And so I got about the business of really looking at myself and looking at how I was handling things. And a part of me wanted to sympathize with myself and thereby excuse my behavior. Like, oh, plenty of people do it. That's what you grew up around. It's fine. But there was something in me that just wouldn't accept that. I couldn't accept that my non-progressive parenting, um, aggressive parenting, if you will, was okay because it didn't feel good coming from me. And I could tell by the looks on their faces, it didn't feel good receiving it either. And so I decided that I was going to try a different route. I had no clue how I was going to do it. Social media wasn't what it currently is today. I didn't really have anybody I could reach out to and ask, how can I parent my children in a way that would nurture them and help them grow, but still give them the foundation they need for stability and maintain my respect. And so I just went with what made sense to me. And what made sense to me was to pay attention to the child and pay attention to how I would have felt at that age and what would have been helpful to me. Because by and large, nurturing is pretty similar across the board. Yes, you have different children with different personalities. Yes, your children are going to absorb information very differently depending on who they are and what their purpose is in life. But I really wanted to do whatever I needed to do in order to be able to give them what they needed. And so I wasn't always a perfect parent, but what I did is I allowed them to show me what it was they needed from me in order to properly mother them. I listened really closely. I paid attention to the things that made them smile. I paid attention to the things that made them afraid. And I just made sure that I was never a part of what made them afraid. I was never a part of what made them second guess their safety or their security. And in doing so, I was able to come up with a way of mothering that was much more peaceful and thereby created more peace in the house as a whole, and also made me take those things and connect them to being a wife and the things that were necessary in being more compassionate as a wife and then eventually as a person all together. And these are the types of things that I focused on that gave me what I needed to navigate other areas of my life. And so my desire to parent for those reasons allowed me to grow in ways that would help me far beyond what mothering was required of me.